The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Wind Down are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Wind Down, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make some history today here in Wrestling Wind Down. This is our first ever draft. And my guest Nessa and I are drafting our dream WWE Total Divas cast, but we are gathering women from WWE, AEW, the independent circuit to make our own women's wrestling reality show cast. We lean heavily on the topics, the storylines, etc. of Total Divas, as well as the history there, right? You have your OGs, but we are adding into the mix. There's some ladies in AEW, there's some ladies on the independent circuit that we think have what it takes to be on the cast of a redefined Total Divas. Now look, men get into their fantasy football. I respect it, kind of, but we're really getting into it. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. We are back with another episode of Wrestling Wind Down, and I am joined by a very familiar face on Wrestling Wind Down. If you shopped our merch, if you listen to the podcast, if you've seen our vlogs, you've seen Nessa from SF. She is back, and I feel like this is how men feel when they do fantasy football drafts. Today, we are going to draft our dream Total Divas. If WWE reinvented the wheel and brought back Total Divas, that's what we're doing today. Welcome, Vanessa. So wonderful to have you back.
I'm so glad to be here to yap with you about wrestling. And I assume this is exactly what fantasy football feels like. Minus the disappointment.
That, and I feel like men are way too in it. They're way too in it.
They're way too in it. It costs so much money to enter fantasy football, from my understanding. And when I hear about like buy-ins, I hear that they're like $100 sometimes. And I'm like, you know what? That $100 could go towards matcha or like coffee or Wrestling Wind Down merch. $100 in this economy to enter something that you might not, like the return on investment is crazy there.
No shade to men, but like y'all don't have commitment issues when it comes to fantasy football, but you do when it comes to women. I digress.
But I will say, when it comes to fantasy football, men get a taste of their own medicine. They get to know what it's like to be let down by another man.
Oh, wow. Okay, anyway, we're actually excited for the end of the year. We're going to do some traveling. We're going to be with the girlies. We're going to have a great time. So we're looking forward to that. Look, I can't have you on here and not talk about fashion. So let's talk about women's wrestling gear for 2025. Who do you think, your top 3, top 5, whatever you're feeling comfortable with, who do you think had the best gear for the women?
Wow. Jade Cargill, absolutely. She comes out and she literally looks like $1 million. I don't know if I would ever want to be seen standing next to her. She just looks expensive. She looks like she smells expensive, but her gear just, it's so like shiny. Like she steps out and she looks like a diamond. She steals the show wherever she is, honestly.
She might run in on some different type of money for her gear.
Oh, no, for sure. For sure. But, you know, good for her. I'd have to say another woman that I really like is Chelsea Green. Her gear is always my favorite, and that was my same answer as the last time I was on here when we talked about best dressed wrestlers. Chelsea Green always, again, she looks so good. Her gear is always really tailored to her, really fits the way that she looks. Another person that I've been really enjoying lately is Blake Monroe. I feel like she is someone who, I don't think like she has like the best gear on the roster, but what I like is the storytelling that she does through her gear. I think she really knows and understands who her character is, and I think that she uses her ring gear to tell that story. I really liked her tribute to Stacy Keibler, like the Duchess of Dudleyville, a few pay-per-views ago. So those would probably be my top 3 right now that come to like the forefront of my mind. I usually want to say like Liv Morgan. Her red carpet looks up and great, but
I agree.
She would usually be like my number 1 or number 2, but she'll be my honorable mention this time.
Gone are the days of the women going to the stripper shops and buying their gear. Do you remember that?
Oh, God bless. Thank God. Thank God we have real gear. Thank God we have wrestling boots and actual attire and not just
Wow.
fishnets and,
The same outfits, and they're all wearing the same outfits.
The leg warmers and like the garter and, the boots. Yeah.
Let's get into it. I feel like we need to put in football music. Here's how this is going to go. We are drafting a new version of the WWE Total Divas. Now, I thought it would be interesting to include WWE, AEW, and indie talent. So we are choosing 7 women for the main cast. We have 3 recurring characters that can also be selected who aren't necessarily main characters, but they might appear often. 7 main cast members, 3 recurring characters. We are going to introduce each wrestler before selecting. We're going to discuss why they are being chosen for our cast. We're going to talk about maybe the potential storylines or dynamics that they could bring. And then we're going to end up with 10 total cast members or 10 characters. Are we ready? I feel like we need a glass of wine. We need something.
Maybe a lobotomy, but...
why don't you kick us off, Nessa? Who would be your first pick?
Okay, my first pick. I feel like we have a very similar list, but my first pick, since we are starting a new and basically a new exciting chapter, I feel like there has been so many new faces since the last time we saw Total Divas on air. I feel like you might know who this is. I feel like in order to bring in this newness, bring in this new era of women's wrestlers, I honestly would love to see Blake Monroe as my first pick. I think that she has such an exciting story to tell, from, wrestling in Japan to wrestling for AEW and going to NXT now and just following that journey. And I think it's so clear that WWE is putting so much stock into Blake Monroe. I feel like it would be also an additional way to boost that. So yeah, Blake Monroe would be my first pick. I think she'd be really fun to watch. I think she's captivating on TV. And I think just as like a new face, and she was just signed this year, she's still very young. I think it would be really fun to watch her journey and kind of how she combats. And honestly, she has a ton of experience under her belt for how young she is. I think it would be curious to see how her relationships are with other vets behind locker room, with other rookies and newbies. I think just seeing that, like finding that balance from being a new face, but someone who already has so much history, I find that interesting to see how her dynamics with other vets would be. So Blake Monroe, my number 1 pick.
I also think what would be interesting is kind of seeing her dynamics with other former AEW people on the show.
Yes.
Like you see them kind of like, pass by each other, maybe like Ricky or Ethan or whoever else is over there. I think that would be interesting. It's a good pick.
Agreed. Yeah.
My first pick is a vet to Total Divas. I feel like in this cast, you need a vet somewhere. I'm going to go with Natty, Natalia Neidhart. Now, Natty likes to stir the pot. So I feel like she's going to bring the drama. But I feel like Natty is at the tail end of her career. So I think it'll be interesting for her to, not only work with like a Blake Monroe or maybe some of the other girls that might be newer on the roster, or if we're incorporating AEW and indie girls, even there, seeing them in the dungeon, seeing where they want to go next in their career. She also has a book out. So I think that would be interesting if they loop in her going through writing the book, maybe seeing some of her family on there, like Bret Hart, TJ, her husband, whoever else might be in the mix. But I think having that veteran in the mix is going to be important here. So Natty is my first pick.
Agreed. I also think with Natty and TJ, since he has been such a big influence in the women's division, I think it would also be interesting to see like his point of view through things. Like he's been doing a lot on the production side. I feel like that would be fun to watch. I'm going to jump into my second pick. My second pick, I feel like really needs no introduction. One of the most decorated women's wrestlers of all time. I don't even know if this is something that she would ever want to do, but she has traveled all across the world, wrestled for so many different promotions, is a star everywhere that she goes. Some might even call her a CEO wherever she goes. I would choose Mercedes Moné if we are entering AEW territory. I think she would be such an interesting person to follow around, considering she wrestles literally all around the world. I think it would be interesting since she has been posting a little bit more with her like romantic relationship with the Beast. I think that would also be intriguing. She's always been a really private person when it comes to her personal life. All we really know is the character of Mercedes Moné or Sasha Banks. We never really knew anything going on in her personal life, so which is why I don't think she would ever really do it. But I think it would just be so fascinating to see what it's like as a women's wrestler who is so active in every aspect of her career, going to all these like indie promotions, seeing what it's like to negotiate those contracts or those conversations with those promotions. And I think it would also be a good way to boost those promotions that she's going to as well. I think it would be like a good capital gain for all of those indie shows. And you know me, I love indie wrestling, and I think the more eyes on that product, the better. So I think having someone like Mercedes Moné, who not only is actively wrestling on AEW, but also going to these like shows that nobody probably has like heard about usually, and winning those titles. And I think eventually when she loses those titles, it could be this domino effect. And eventually whoever she loses those to will also get a boost in their career too. So I think when I think booking Mercedes Moné, not only is it really good at promoting her, but I think it's also a good idea at promoting eventually all other women around her.
Very interesting. I think that'd be a good one. I wonder if she would really tap into her personal life.
I doubt it, but either way, like I think just her even being the CEO, like on that show would be so interesting, even if it were just like a character in a storyline. I know a lot of people have their own thoughts on Mercedes Moné, but I think it's really interesting to see what happens when she does lose all those titles. And I think at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know this lady, but I think at the end of the day, she really does care about like women's wrestling and really helping build it. So I think her being on that show would really help expand the eyes on women's wrestling.
My second pick, I'm going to go indies. I'm going to go Maya World. I think Maya would be really interesting on the show.
She was on my list.
She's young. I feel like she is at the top of her game on the indies. I think it'd be a very interesting insight to have, seeing women from, you know, WWE, AEW, and then you have the comparison to the indies. You know, what does that look like for somebody that's in their 20s, somebody that is doing AEW, doing Ring of Honor, at West Coast Pro, at all these different promotions? What does her life look like? I think obviously there'll be some incorporation of Forked Ropes, and she's worked with them. I think it'd be really interesting to kind of show, if the show was on, how the whole situation had gone down with her and Hyan stepping in during the like that would be perfect.
That's spicy. Yeah. Oh, that would be an episode.
I think she'd be a good pick. And I think having her in a capacity where, you know, she's around Natty or she's around people in these other companies, she can absorb some of the knowledge from them and even teach them stuff. So Maya is my second one.
Yeah, she was also on my list. I think that she just has a star quality about her. I think like having a camera on her is nothing but good business. She like just draws, I think, a lot of eyes on her. She has like the look. I think she has like the attitude for it. She has the drive. I think she would be really fun to watch. My third pick, I had just mentioned her. I think that she is such a team player. I think that from the WWE Unreal, she's kind of said that she will take anything that is thrown at her. I think she's a really good sport. I think that she has such a fun personality on TV. I also thought it was interesting because her husband is a former WWE wrestler, made his way through the indies. I haven't been keeping up completely, but I know that he was like on that Invasion not too long ago. My pick is going to be Chelsea Green for my third.
She's on my list. I will take her for 3 too.
Yeah. I think that I think all women are great TV. Like, I think that I am so intrigued in all of their lives. I would watch one of them do groceries, you know, like I just think it's so intriguing. Like what does a WWE superstar add to their grocery list?
Yeah.
But with Chelsea Green, I think it is just an interesting perspective to have someone who has this husband who has they both have such a laundry list of experience. I think seeing like Zack Ryder and her and their dynamic, what is it like to have your one person be signed to this mainstream product and then your partner is on the indies? And how do you have a relationship? How do you guys spend time together? Do you guys fight about like certain bookings? Do you tell your partner to say yes or no to certain things? I think seeing that dynamic of having partners on 2 different paths kind of would be really interesting to watch. Like, I don't know, as a WWE wrestler, I figure you're on the road all the time. And then if you're an indie wrestler, you're also on the road all the time, but on 2 different paths. How does a relationship stay alive? What kind of support do they give one another during those times? I think it'd also be interesting to see, like, you would have to rewind a little bit more, but what what it was like for Chelsea to be re-signed with WWE, and did that impact their relationship at all? So Chelsea Green would be my third pick.
Yes, adding on to that, since she is my third pick as well, I think it'd be interesting to also see some of the things that she's doing now in WWE. She's doing the press event. They have her doing media, stuff like that. Clearly, they really trust her. They've put multiple titles on her. It'd be interesting for her to kind of recap, like, hey, this was what happened when I was in WWE the first time, and kind of showing that progression and growth, and her being on the indies at one point, and how they met, her and Matt Cardona met. But also, I think what would be interesting as well is to kind of see, we don't want to see too many men. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't want to see too many men. I don't want to know their stories. But I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting to sprinkle a little bit about him in there, because he's had such a large impact on the internet. Right? He was doing all that internet stuff before the internet was really blown up to what it is now. I think maybe seeing if that has had an impact on maybe how she uses social media for her character in WWE, you know, kind of what things maybe he's taught her on the business side of things, because he is like smartest businessman I've seen.
Absolutely. He's turned his whole thing around.
Yeah. So I think it'd be interesting to see if she has any of his dynamics in her mix. Any of her dynamics have kind of been passed over to him. Put her on the show. Have her.
She has to be on the show. She has to be on the show. No doubt about it. Going on to my fourth pick, this is also an OG to Total Divas. She also has had such an interesting career since the show last aired. She left WWE. She completely turned her career around, and TNA kind of revived it, made history over there. I think she's the reason why there has been that partnership between WWE and TNA. She is a history maker. She is one of the most athletic women in the industry. She is funny. She's smart business-wise. I mean, she's turned her career around. My pick is going to be Naomi. I have nothing but love and respect for her. She's one of my favorite wrestlers. And so not only would I want to see her on there because of that, but I think seeing how she and, Mercedes left WWE, because she is a woman that knew she deserved better. I think that's such a great inspirational and influential story that I think will resonate with a lot of women. This probably goes really far to say, but I think a lot of the women in the locker room really owe a lot to Naomi and Mercedes for what they did. I think it's such a scary thing to do as a Black woman, as a woman, period, to leave a workplace and say, I deserve better. I don't deserve the way that things are, I want to see better. I think it's really inspirational and really motivating. I think that she's contributed so much to women's wrestling. I can talk about her for so long, but I think it would just really be interesting to see, especially now that she's pregnant. I think it would be really great to see a woman athlete who is going through pregnancy, how she's navigating that. How hard is it? I think she's going to resonate with a lot of mothers who, I don't know, maybe they are feeling like they're in a rut. I think she'd be really great to watch. I think it would be a good story. Her and Jimmy Uso are also such comedy together. But really, I think the motherhood itself would be a good plot line. We'd have to rewind a few years, but seeing her leave WWE, her time in TNA, coming back to WWE, and I sobbed when she came back at the Rumble. I think getting footage of that would be so emotional. I think it would just be great TV too. So this would not be Total Divas, I think, without Naomi.
Very good pick. I have her on my recurring cast because I figure
with motherhood.
I guess it depends on where she's at in her career. If she is still pregnant, stuff like that. So I put her as a recurring cast member. I agree with everything you said. I think that she has had such an impact in professional wrestling, whether it's WWE, whether it was TNA, and she really helped pave the way for partnership that's currently going on. You look around as well, you have Jordan Grace, you have Mickie James. Those were other women as well who really made a name for themselves and fought for themselves and made history. Looking back years ago, I would have never guessed that WWE and TNA would be in any type of
my God, hell froze over.
So seeing that now and knowing that the women really they really made it happen. The guys weren't doing it. It's always going to be a woman. That's why we're here talking.
Exactly.
My next pick is also another veteran to Total Divas. She really made Total Divas. A lot of people started watching wrestling because of her. I think her journey in wrestling right now would be interesting to watch because she is coming back after she's been through a lot in the media and in her former relationship, and she's a mother now and she has multiple businesses with her sister. I think it'd really be interesting to have Nikki Bella back on the show. If she continues this full-time run as she is right now, I think it'd be interesting to see, okay, how is she training? What is she doing? How did she get cleared? First of all, I'm guessing someone from Twitter gave Nikki Bella their neck to use, because I'm telling you, she looks better than ever. But I think too, obviously not incorporating all of the stuff that happened in her personal life, but she has been very vocal about the fact that she's dating. I think that would be interesting to see on the show, seeing kind of the dynamic of a single Nikki Bella and what that looks like for her. Because I mean, on her Nikki and Brie podcast, she's talked about it. Like, she's used apps, she's gone on dates. Brie has even went with her on a date.
Oh,
so I think that would be a cool dynamic to see. We've seen Nikki Bella in the form of being engaged and all of that with John Cena, and then, her and her ex-husband. So it's like, we've seen these dynamics so publicly. Now she's single, she's killing it in WWE. She's doing Bonita Bonita. They have Birdie B. Like, they still have so much going on that I think it would really make for interesting television, as well as bring people back that might have watched Total Divas, Total Bellas in the past, who may be like, I wonder what Nikki Bella is up to. So that is my choice.
I had Nikki Bella as my number one, but I felt like you had her on your list. I was like, you know what? She's going to be on the show no matter what. She's going to be here no matter what. I am so proud to see her growth over the last few years. And I'm so glad that I invested in my Nikki Bella stocks. I saw this tweet earlier about Nikki. This isn't word for word, but it said something like, for Nikki to come back after all the injuries that she's had, and even still getting all the hate that she, for whatever reason, is still getting. Someone, I think they said, like, Nikki Bella coming back, it just really proves how much she loves the business.
I think I saw that, yeah.
And they're like, that's why that they liked her so much. And I feel the same way.
And it was a man that tweeted that.
It was a man that tweeted that. And I think that's also why I really liked it. I think with Nikki, she is also so inspiring. She is a woman who has no wrestling history. She played soccer growing up. She entered this industry at a time where misogyny was at its highest. And she, fell in love with the game of it. And her and her sister, improved as much as they could. And like you said, I think Nikki Bella looks greater than she ever has. And I think to really overcome that misogyny that comes with being an attractive looking woman who doesn't look like she's a wrestler and didn't have that wrestling background. And I'm sure, there's a lot of people who don't respect her. And I think for her to still enter the business like guns blazing, I think is really, she's badass. Like, there's just no other word about it to go around. Like, you got proposed to at WrestleMania. Like, you met your former love of your life here. And I think to come back regardless of everything, I think just really proves how much she loves WWE and loves maybe not just wrestling, but loves that business in general. So I think it would be like really remiss to deny her of all the things that she's done for women's wrestling. I think she's great. And I'm so glad that she's back. I'm so excited for her. I'm going to go into my fifth pick. This one was kind of really random, and I didn't really know if I wanted to do this as a fifth pick. I love AEW. I really, really do. I'm a big fan of that product, and I've been really enjoying it lately. And I was kind of like, I think this is like a random pick, but I really enjoy her. I think she's a lot of fun to watch. She's young and she's upcoming. I feel like it would be really interesting to, just follow like a young talent from AEW. I'm going to go with Sky Blue.
You know what? Yeah, I was thinking her. I didn't put her on my list, but I was thinking about her.
No, she was the last name that I added to my list. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, I think I want to see more of her. I think that she has, from when I first started, I didn't really know who Sky Blue was, but every time she's been in the ring, I've always enjoyed watching her. I saw this tweet and she is like drenched in like blood. People are like, oh, she's so sick for this. Like, why would anyone want to watch this? And someone like quote tweeted it and they're like, Sky Blue, you made it. Like, it is like, who, like, it's such an interesting point though. It's like, these women are doing these like damn near like death matches. Like, they are putting their lives at risk, and it's not anything that we've ever really seen before. And Sky Blue is literally like covered in red. So for me, Sky Blue, I think that it would be an interesting conversation to see like, hey, like, is this a spot that you're willing to do? Is this something that you feel comfortable with doing? So I think like having that conversation of this young woman who isn't afraid to take risks in her matches. I think the conversations leading up to those matches would be really intriguing. But also just, she's young and I mean, this isn't supposed to be shady, but she doesn't get a lot of screen time either on AEW. I feel like getting her on something like Total Divas-esque, I think would be fun to watch someone grow. And maybe if there are any frustrations with not being on TV as often as you want to, and then her relationship with Kyle Fletcher, and he's becoming so like goated almost like on AEW. So I think a young couple like that, a young women's wrestler on a like a quote unquote secondary promotion would be fun to watch and see how that can maybe like skyrocket her career.
No, I agree. We need some young blood in here. We need some people that are kind of just starting out. And she might be nervous her first season, or she might come on there. She might absolutely rock it. But I think definitely seeing that dynamic, learning more about her. Because, I mean, you look at when she started in AEW, like squeaky clean Chicago girl. And now she has like this dark side. Like, it's interesting. You wonder, okay, what goes into your mindset getting, you know, in the groove of things before you go out to the ring? And especially with a match like that. You know, she's with Julia Hart. She's with Tekla. Like, what does that look like when y'all are not on screen? What's the dynamic backstage? So
exactly. What's the thought process like getting into a match like that?
My next choice is actually a AEW wrestler as well. She is friends with Blake Monroe. So I think that they would have some good banter. Harley Cameron is my next choice. I think Harley has won a lot of people over in AEW with how wild she is, how out of the box she is. She's very much a extrovert. So I think she would be really good. Her journey is interesting. I was watching MVP's podcast and she mentioned that her second match ever was on AEW Dark with Willow, which I was like, that is insane. She has had less than 100 matches.
That's crazy.
Yes. So I think having her talk about the dynamic of, hey, I'm technically still new in wrestling. I'm still learning everything, but, you know, I have this background. She sings. Having that kind of in there as well, but also the dynamic of, okay, you have a really good friend who's in WWE. What does that look like, right? Obviously, all these people are friends, right, for the most part. So I think it'd be interesting to see that dynamic and what it's like, you know, living in Florida. You've been around the business for a while, but again, you've only had less than 100 matches. Like, do you get nervous going in?
She's such a star.
I want to say she said she's at 46.
Oh, wow. And she's honestly like, she's fun as hell to watch.
Yeah.
In the ring. Like, I think like, I'm not gonna say like she was born for this, but I think she was born for entertainment.
Oh, for sure. Definitely born for entertainment. She would be my next choice. I think she would have, I think her and Natty might tussle a little bit though, because I feel like Natty would be like, Harley, you need to be serious. Like,
yeah, that would be hilarious. Actually, that interaction would.
There is some room there where she could maybe go to the dungeon and train. We see her, you know, coming up and learning more moves as she's getting more comfortable in the ring, and Natty's involved with that. And maybe that's where it comes into play, where Natty's like, girl, you need to take this a little bit more seriously, not to be funny all the time.
That would be a good plot line right there. I'm here for that one. She didn't even come up in like my thought process. I'm glad that you chose her.
Honestly, she wouldn't have come up in mine either, but I watched that clip earlier and I was like, I have some spots left. Let me add her on here.
Yeah, I like that. Are we going to go into recurring characters?
We are.
I had one and I thought it would be more of like a bit than anything, but I thought, so my first recurring character would be Toni Storm. but in character. I just thought it would be funny, like maybe like little like vignettes or like clips of her in her Toni Storm like character, and like she thinks that she's doing like interviews for like a movie or like press conference. I thought it would just be funny. I don't want Toni Storm to ever be not in character. I want her to go into this and every time it jumps to her, she's in the black and white. So that would be my recurring pick.
Would she have any interaction with Mariah or Blake? Would it be something? Would it be like you not even talked about?
No, she's like, you look familiar, kind of thing. Like I thought, you know, like I thought I killed you. Like, is this a doppelganger or something like that? I need Toni Storm to be always Toni Storm. I don't need her to never not be in character anymore. So that would be my recurring.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
It'll be comedic relief. It'll be like little like clips here and there. But she has to be in character. She has to be. I'm not taking her if she's not in character.
That's fair. Okay. My recurring would be Jade Cargill. Now,
she's on my list.
Yes, I feel like we need to slowly introduce Jade to the audience. I think Jade 100% has what it takes to be on reality TV. I think she could bring the drama. I think it'd be interesting to kind of see the dynamic. She's always posting about the grand gestures that her husband's doing. I think it'd be interesting to see that dynamic as well, of her being a mom, being a wife, an MLB wife specifically. Like, look, I know I was talking about earlier when we were talking about her gear, she has different money. I'm telling you, NFL, MLB, NHL, the money is different.
That money goes longer.
Yes, that money goes way longer. Check out, she has a clip up of all of her cars. That is long money. So I think it'd be interesting to kind of see that dynamic, see her working with the other girls, see her working with some of the newer AEW talent. She's another one who could also be in the dungeon with Natalya, learning new moves, showing that, hey, I do take this seriously. Even though people online might talk, I do take it seriously, which could also put her in a kind of like a storyline or whatever on the show with Nikki Bella, who has also had issues with people online. Maybe it's a back and forth thing where it's like, hey, this is what I do. What do you do? Right? Maybe some advice, maybe a feel good moment for the show. So I would have Jade on there. I think that also having her talk about transitioning from AEW to WWE, what that's looked like, being a tag team competitor to a singles champion, what that journey has been like for her.
I like it. I think another thing too, and for me, I think that Total Divas has always been a platform for people to feel represented one way or another. I don't think that a lot of women really felt seen until they started watching Total Divas, especially in, male dominated wrestling spaces. So for me, it's all about representation. I think Jade Cargill brings such a air of like luxe and like expensive. And I mean, I have my own personal opinions about Jade. She might not be my like favorite wrestler, but I think having someone on there who is like a woman and she's Black, and I think she, has this like wealth about her, I think it is going to be positive for, other women to see like, I'm not going to be scared to flaunt. I'm not going to be scared to go after that type of, that affluence. I think it is like really empowering to see, a woman in this industry, in a male dominated industry, to have this type of like luxury that I don't think a lot of women, one, are able to achieve, or two, don't feel like they are allowed to be that bold and be that like, in your face with their money. Maybe it's not for me necessarily, but I think, women should feel empowered to own these things and flaunt these things. And I think it is a good way to have women have something to like reach for. So I think having someone who has that type of like lux behind her, like whether it's a Black or brown woman, because we don't really see that. My only like was Crazy Rich Asians. But I think that just like being able to see that and think that's something that is, one day attainable, I think is an inspiration for a lot of women.
Yeah. And I think too, seeing her do both. We have Nikki on the cast who is a mom. We have Naomi as a recurring as well, who is about to be a mom. Just that dynamic. How do you balance it all? We've seen her daughter on AEW. We've seen her daughter on WWE in the audience. Like, as she's talked about it numerous times, this is the reason why she wrestles, is because she wants to be an inspiration for her daughter. I think that's really important to have on a show like this, because they're trying to inspire women at the end of the day. Sure, the men might come across a show or maybe they're watching with their girlfriends, but this show has a demographic for women. So why not have somebody on there who is also trying to inspire the next generation in terms of her daughter and other young girls? Why not have her on there? I think it'd be a good look. So
my recurring, I think this is my third. No, I've already lost count. My next pick is going to be Liv Morgan. She's one of my favorite wrestlers. I think that she on the red carpets always looks fabulous. I think it would be interesting to see how that translates. I mean, I think a lot of these women have tiptoed that line between WWE and mainstream media, but I think Liv Morgan is doing a really good job at it too. But I think, I forgot what movie premiere she was just at recently, but I think just having her and having that representation on the red carpet is going to be interesting to see. Like, what's it like when a woman is out on injury, and how is she navigating that, and what is she doing in her meantime, and acting opportunities that are coming up for her, and being seen at all of these events and being photographed with like Margot Robbie and doing all these like cool things. And I think that it would provide good insight into life outside of wrestling.
That's a very good one. My last recurring character is one who has been talking about Total Divas. I feel like it gets brought up in every single interview she's doing nowadays. She was inspired by Total Divas. She is a huge Nikki Bella fan. I swear she talks about it all the time. She's keeping the Total Divas dream alive at this point. Maxine Dupree, please come and get your baddies shamed because you are going to be on this cast one way or another. Now, I feel like Maxine is obviously friends as shown on social media with Chelsea Green. So Chelsea can have her as her friend, Chelsea's friend, right? You see that on Real Housewives all the time. Introduce her like that, and then we can put her on the cast once somebody decides that they don't want to be on the show anymore. I think Maxine has a very influencer vibe.
She does.
TikTok. Yeah. She would be very interesting to see from that perspective of somebody, okay, owns a brand outside of wrestling, right? She's planning a wedding. Like, she has a lot of things that these other women don't necessarily have going on. So I think it'd be an interesting perspective to see, okay, how did she run Jaunty if she's on the road all the time? She's training with Natalia. How often is she doing that? What the hell does her time management look like if she's also planning a wedding at the same time? Always traveling. They have her doing press events as well. So that's
that girl's a grind. She's grinding, and she's shown so much improvement in the ring.
She has.
A lot.
I remember maybe a year ago, I feel like she's had so much growth since then, but I definitely remember the men talking to her when she was leaving. I remember that. And I was like,
and even Chelsea Green tweeted something about like respect.
Right. Which I feel like we have to say multiple times a year because people just don't get the point. But
they don't.
I think she has shown so much growth, and she's really shown those people who were, out there talking like, okay, look what I can do next.
Exactly.
She's had multiple title opportunities. I feel like this next one that she has, I think she might win it because they keep on pushing. Like, they want to give it to her. Like, she's fighting for it. So I feel like
she has the look. She has a look. She has drive. Does. She has, I don't know. I think she has the makings of a champion for sure.
I would like to see her dynamic with Blake Monroe.
Oh my God. It seemed like two completely opposite people, but I would love to see it.
They seem opposite, but they seem like they would have some stuff in common. Like, I feel like because they're within the same age range, they probably know, like, the influencer stuff, I feel like would probably join them together because they're very much on social. They like to post the vlogs and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't book the show. I just book the cast.
Yeah. We'll let them sort out the drama.
Yes. We'll let them sort out the drama.
Or the friendships. I was kind of thinking if there were ever to do like a Total Divas revival and all women were allowed, I would have loved to see like not necessarily like a reoccurring character, but like maybe once in a while they'll follow like some indie woman, like maybe like a real like up and coming kind of what was that thing that they were doing WWE ID that didn't pan out very well?
They're still doing WWE ID Monat multi-level marketing type of scheme. I mean, that's the vibe I get from it. It seems like a multi-level marketing scheme.
I'm weak. But I think something like that, like maybe follow like Zara Sakir around or Viva Van or Hyen or Maya World or Johnny Robbie or Emily J. Alexis Littlefoot. I think it would just be interesting to see like the day in the life of a random like indie girl, like just to see like what it's like.
There was some type of pay-per-view like IWTV or something like that. They were doing that for a while. They were following indie wrestlers. I know
IWTV,
yes, they had Mike Bailey who had one. I think
Daniel Garcia had one.
Oh, he did.
Ali Catch had one.
Oh, I do remember Danny's, yes.
Titus Alexander had one. I think that it is a good just platform. What's it like to get bookings? What's it like to get, like, let's say if they, kind of like what we said earlier about the whole Maya World and High-End situation, follow someone in the day of the life on a day that they are booked for a WWE or AEW gig. What's that like being backstage? I think it would just be good to boost their career, and such an advocate for the indies. I think whatever platform they can get to push the envelope to what they're doing, I think is what I would always want to see. So I think if we were to follow, I know Johnny Robbie was on AEW like a few months ago as like an extra. What was it like to get the call for that? Or what was it like the day that she got on set for that? So that's something like personally that I would want to see. I don't think I don't know if anyone else would necessarily want to see that, but that's something that would be on my like dream reality wrestling show.
It kind of reminds me of like kind of similar kind of nod of like how they had Eva Marie and JoJo on that season. Like they were brand new, like they had no idea what they were doing. And we kind of watched the trials and tribulations of that and them not really getting along with like the Bella twins, especially especially Eva Marie. So it's like, you know, that drama of, okay, you're new here, but we've been here, like, you know what I mean? So I think that would be interesting, and it could kind of loop into your idea of, you know, covering what it looks like for these indie wrestlers. I mean, going to a company, doing extra work, having a match, whatever the case may be, like, it is completely different from an indie perspective. It's not like they show up, you know, at West Coast Pro and it's exactly like it is at AEW. AEW is a production. WWE is a production. So I definitely think it would be interesting to see their insight on that.
Yeah. So that's just really just, I think, what I would really love to see. I think it just ties in so many different perspectives and different, I don't know, avenues of wrestling. I mean, there's so many different flavors for anyone. Like, I think to be closed-minded and say, like, I only want to watch X promotion is really hindering the possibilities of it. So I think just opening the doors up, like if there were to be like a wrestling reality show, I think opening the doors up to more people would be an experience to watch.
Let's get into some of our listener cast. We had to bring in our wind down baddies to tell us who they would cast if WWE reimagined Total Divas. Now, these lists include only WWE people. I did this for a reason because I knew people were going to send me a list of 5,000 people if I extended it to all companies. We're going to start with @UngodlyRollins on Twitter, who said Nikki Bella with appearances from Brie, Natalya, Naomi, Nia Jax, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargo, Tiffany Stratton, Lash Legend, Liv Morgan, and Maxine Dupree. @Cartier NDG, this person said, I have thought a lot about this, and it does change occasionally. But right now, I got to go with Lash Legend. She was fourth recurring if we had a fourth person. Tiffany Stratton, Liv Morgan, Kathy Kelly, Jade Cargill, and bring back OGs Nadia and Naomi. You could also do an NXT spinoff like a Bachelor in Paradise. No, thank you. We're not doing Love Island.
It's not. NXT. No,
it's happening in real life. We don't need to air it on TV.
Not after this last cancel Love Island. To send them all to jail. Honestly, at this point, but Kathy Kelly is a really good option.
She is, but I think she would be in the mix. She doesn't need to be a recurring. She doesn't need to be on the cast. She's going to be with Chelsea, with Maxine. I don't think she needs like an actual spot on the cast.
No, but she would be, I think it's like an interesting perspective.
For sure.
I love how engaged people are in this question.
And I'm just on Twitter. I haven't even gotten to Instagram yet. People were very outspoken on Instagram. Astrid Pizarro said Chelsea, Bianca, Trinity, Maxine, and Jade. JMD71421 said Jade, Bianca, Naomi, Rhea, and Liv, and Charlotte as friend of. So I had thought of Rhea, but I feel like Rhea would not do reality TV.
Is it crazy to say Rhea didn't even come to my mind?
It doesn't make sense in my head.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, she wasn't even like a thought.
Over on Instagram, we had @the Bella season. Now, whole list. Props to them. They laid it out. My dream cast would be as follows. We need some OGs. Nikki, Naomi, Natalya return. New faces. Bianca, Chelsea, Maxine, Lash, Tiffany, Jade, Blake. I feel like all these people are on the same page as us.
Yeah,
we must be doing something right. Call us WWE. We'll book it if you won't.
Call us.
@JarvisHeart81 said Blake and Nia and Chelsea and Fallon. Okay, we need more than 4 people, baby. It's going to get boring with just 4 people. Fallon is an interesting one. Fallon was not even on my radar for something like this.
I feel like there's so many of them that I wouldn't have.
Yes.
Picked. There's a blonde one specifically that I wouldn't have picked, but that's neither.
I know exactly which one you're thinking of. @RebeccaStarks_ said Blake, Nia, and Chelsea. Lessie_BT03 said Chelsea and Maxine as at least one of the new cast. They were born for Total Divas. We agree. @Shay Sawyer was here said Nikki, Brie, and Naomi as OGs. Liv, Bianca, Blake, Chelsea, Jordan, Jade, and Zelina. Interesting.
Jordan is a good one.
Jordan is a good one. I didn't even think of her.
I honestly didn't either, but I think she'd be a good one.
I think Zelina would be an interesting one to sing as Aleister is back in WWE. That dynamic, she streams. Interesting. And
that's a good one.
I'm sure she trains. Okay, Shay, you're opening up our eyes. At Nia Vibes said Naomi for sure has to be there. Natty, Nikki, Lash, Bianca, Jade, Maxine, and Chelsea. At D the Machine 24 said Lash, Tatum, Thea Hell, Jordan Grace, Blake Monroe, Soul, and Zaria, and Kaylani. Okay.
Kaylani's a good one.
Kaylani is a good one.
That is a good one.
I appreciate that cast. Finally,
yeah, I do too. I like that one.
Mentioned earlier, Alexis Littlefoot said, Jade's life is so lit. I'd love to see how she juggles being a mom and wife and owning a pro team in wrestling. Very good point. Let me throw one more in there. At Sunny's for Sinners said the OGs deserve their flowers for sure. Natty, Naomi, and Nikki were the backbone of the show, 100%. And I had other people saying Agreed. Trinity. I had other people saying Chelsea. Like, I think when you see these women, you know, you're like, I can see them on a reality TV show. There's other ones where you're like, could I see you on there?
Yeah, like Rhea. Again, she didn't even come up.
All right, let's recap our final drafted Total Divas, Total Girls in Wrestling, Total Ladies in Wrestling. We have the final cast. Mine is Maya World, Natalia, Chelsea Green, Nikki Bella, Harley Cameron, with Jay Cargill, Naomi, and Maxine as my recurring guest. Vanessa, who is your final cast?
Blake Monroe, Chelsea Green, Naomi, Mercedes Moné, and Sky Blue as regulars. And then recurring, Toni Storm as Timeless Toni. No other gimmick allowed. She just has to come as Timeless Toni Storm, theatrics and all, black and white filter. And then I also said for recurring, Liv Morgan would be one of them for sure, is one that I would like to see.
We've done the work. Now, WWE, you need to make the cast. All right? Mm-hmm. Get Tony Khan on the phone. Get the indies on the phone. We have thoughts that you need to bring to fruition.
Exactly. Executive producers.
The phone. Mm-hmm. We're trying to give out baddie streams, okay? Thank you so much, Nessa, for joining me here on Wrestling Wind Down. Where can the people keep up with you on social media?
Thank you for having me. I will always yap with you at any given moment. Just ask me, give me a time and date, and I will be there. On Instagram, you can find me at Vanessa D'Alba, and on Twitter, Vanessa from SF.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Wind Down. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.wrestlingwinddownlv.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!